Good morning. Today on Spotlight, a very frank and exclusive one-on-one conversation with the successful businessman who from 2000 to 2006 was the 55th president of Mexico. The Honorable Vincente Fox was in town recently to speak at Wayne State University's Forum on Contemporary Issues in Society, organized by former university president Dr. Irvin Reed. Vincente Fox, a Harvard Business School graduate, knows a lot about American and world issues. He sat down with me about 24 hours before the devastating Mexican earthquake to discuss immigration, jobs, crime, trade, U.S.-Mexican relations, the wall, and yes, American President Donald Trump. Buckle up for the opinions of former Mexican President Vincente Fox. It's Sunday, September the 24th. I'm Chuck Stokes, and this is Spotlight. Mr. President, thank you for sitting down with us today on Spotlight, and welcome to Detroit.
Thank you very much. Very pleased to be here, back to Wayne University, where I was 10 years ago on a speaking conference, and I see a lot of things have changed since. And we're here to talk again about Mexico, about United States, about Detroit, about our state of Guanajuato, which has a very intense relationship with Detroit and Michigan through the automobile industry.
The relationship between the U.S. and Mexico. If you had to give it a grade right now, what grade would you give it?
Well, if it is on perception and what we hear, grade is 0. We are in a very bad moment. But I hope it's still just talk. It's just mouth saying. Is not what would happen in the near future. So I hope that's what it's all about. Because clarity, vision, light will come soon, so that we all learn that what we have done is the right thing to do, that we have progressed together, recognizing at the same time that we have problems, that we have shadows in our relationship, but by sitting down, by using our intelligence and our wisdom, by negotiating, things can be back to the great times that we have built all throughout NAFTA existence, which has been now 24 years.
Mr. President, you said that you think the relationship between the U.S. and Mexico could be sort of like the relationship that we had with Cuba before President Obama was able to work out a relationship and smooth things over. Do you think that's a real fear that it could get that tense?
I don't know what to think. I don't know, but you must guide yourself by what you hear, by what you see. And what is going on right now in the United States is a very strange thing to all of us foreigners. For instance, we don't understand saying, I will make America great. We know outside that America is great. It's been great, and it will keep on going great.
How is that interpreted, that saying that President Trump has used, how is that interpreted by Mexicans?
Well, we interpret it as a selfish thing, as a thing that does not go with good relations and diplomacy. We are not in this world only by ourselves. As the Dalai Lama said, the world belongs to humanity, not to a president and not to a nation. There is 8 billion of us human beings in this globe, and we all have to share what we have, and we all have to improve what we're given. And same thing I would say in relation to the way you relate to the world. We have the perception that we're back to the old days of the ugly American, the imperialist America, the Uncle Sam with a stick, and we don't want to see that coming back. We like this nation because it's compassionate, because it shares what it has with the rest of the world, because we fight against terrorism, we try to bring order to migration, we try to develop jobs and income for people everywhere in Africa, in Asia, in Latin America, or within the United States. We decided 24 years ago that we wanted to partner Canada, United States, and Mexico. And the question is why? What brought about NAFTA? And the answer is very clear. It was that we wanted to be the strongest, we wanted to be the most competitive and successful region of the world. And United States at that time thought it's not convenient for me to have a neighbor that is in poverty. It's not convenient to me that we have a neighbor that is in violence and not progressing. Nobody wants a neighbor like that. You try to upgrade your neighbors so that you move along in harmony. So that's NAFTA spirit from the beginning to the end.
You've been very critical of President Trump. Why?
Well, because I think he's mistaken in several points of view that he has publicly expressed.
Such as?
For instance, building a wall. To me, it's nonsense. I mean, we can fix things speaking to each other, learning the problems of your neighbor, and working with your neighbor to solve problems. We have a very busy border. 1 million people cross it every day. Thousands, hundreds of thousands of containers cross it every day. And as I said, we are very solid partners. Let me tell you.
Do you think this wall that the president talks about will ever be built, and will Mexico pay for that wall? That's
what I hear lately. And they said, take it easy, Vicente. Take it easy, President Fox. Calm down. Nothing is going to happen. It's just talk, talk, talk. But in the meantime, we've been harmed. We've been offended, severely offended. I've been offended. My people has been offended. My nation has been offended. Mexico is not a nation of rapists or criminals. We have dignity. We demand respect. But also we've been affected on the relationship, because today Mexico says, I need plan B because this guy doesn't like us. So our plan B, we already went to China and said, how about if we start trading China and Mexico and the total of countries of the TPP. We already went to Brazil and Argentina to buy our corn, which today we're buying from the United States. And I don't know what farmers of corn and grain are going to do when Mexico stops buying the huge amount of tons and tons that we buy from this nation. So it's a mistake.
So if I'm hearing you right, the relationship, particularly with the current administration, has, in your view, pushed you closer to a closer relationship with China.
Awful. Oh yes, yeah, of course, we are doing so already. I mean, if the United States says, to me it's not convenient to join TPP, the Trans-Pacific Trade Agreement, the rest of the nation will say, okay, it's your choice.
Do you see the TPP as more economic or more strategic?
It's both. It's both. It's economic because it's trading that brings you jobs, brings you wealth, like the United States has done all along. But it's strategic because they're the partners, are Russia, are Japan, are China. And of course, if the leader, if this great nation resigns to its leadership and tells the rest of the world, I'm America, I'm going to build a wall, and I don't care about you. Okay, fine. That's your decision, your choice. But we are getting together, the rest of us. The wall. If he wants to build a wall, Let him do. I mean, we don't care. He can build as many walls as he wants. But to say that Mexico is going to pay for that fucking wall is where he's mistaken.
Let's take a quick pause, and when we come back, I want to get your opinion about President Trump's decision to end DACA. We'll be right back. The Trump administration's decision to end DACA, do you feel as though that's a good decision, bad decision, too restrictive on immigration?
Terrible decision. It's a decision without vision. Let me tell you what Colin Powell said once. In this nation, United States, minorities will very soon be majorities. Then why don't we train, educate, prepare the leaders of tomorrow that are going to be coming from minorities pretty soon? What is Trump seeing in the future next coming? Minorities will be majorities. You kick them out. But those 800,000 kids deserve better. They have a dream, like all Americans have. The American dream is shared by all of us in this continent. They have a dream, and you cut the dream, and you kick him out. What's wrong with this guy? Why? What harm are these kids doing to this nation? They're going to be the bright minds, the wise minds of the future. That's talent, pure talent that you should be fighting to keep here and not to keep them out.
Mr. President, let's take a quick break, and when we come back, I want to get your opinion about a very serious issue in Mexico and the United States. That's crime. When you were president of Mexico, you waged a war on crime and drugs. And now you're saying the best way to deal with this issue is to legalize drugs. What made the change of heart?
Well, it changed because the issue has been getting worse and worse. In my time, we didn't have the homicides, we didn't have the massive killings that we have today in Mexico. In my time, as president of Mexico, we reached the best indicator, the best figures in relation to crime, the lowest we had in history. But now things have gotten worse. And then I asked myself, then what is the solution? A war on crime, like President Nixon started 50 years ago, a total failure? A war on crime and drugs, like President Calderon is doing or did? 80,000 kids died on the streets of Mexico. That's not the solution. So what is the solution? It's simple. Let's let every kid, every citizen take care of himself, take care of his health. We are created free, but we use that freedom with responsibility. So he who wants to kill himself by consuming drugs, let it be. But let's make sure that they have the information, that they know, the kids know that it's harmful to their health, that it will sooner or later kill them like tobacco and cigarettes do.
America right now is facing a heroin epidemic. The opioid problem is extremely bad here. And there are many people who believe Mexico is part of the problem, that you could be doing much more to stop the flow of drugs coming into the United States, to take a stronger stand with the cartels. And if you talk about legalizing it, that may really open up the floodgates.
That's stupid and selfish thinking. Because if you don't want the kids here to get the heroin, solve it yourself. It's not Mexico which is sending the heroin here. That's absolutely false. That's a lie. Mexico's problem today in relation to drugs is the huge, the mammoth consumer market that you have here in the United States. And yes, it's very convenient, very comfortable to say, hey, Mexico, help me stop the drugs in Mexico. Why should we do it? Give me a reason. And we are trying hard to do it. But the problem is here in this nation. And the problem is why one cargo load of whatever you want to mention, heroin, marijuana, cocaine, crosses the border, why it circulates all over the United States. Where the CIA, where is the DEA, where are all the security forces of this nation? Why the drug moves from Laredo to Washington City, to New York, to San Francisco, to Seattle, to Detroit? That's not Mexico's problem. Why does not this nation solve? And the only solution to me is legalize. And you already are doing that. You started with marijuana in Seattle and in Washington State, in Colorado and in Denver. In California now, that has been approved not only for medical use, but for responsible recreational use. So that's the way to go. It's a total failure to pretend that government is going to take away drugs from my kids. It's me, you mother, you father. It's your problem. It's not U.S. problem. It's yours. You have to educate your son. You have to be with him. You have to understand him. You have to tell him how bad it is to consume drugs. You have to be close to him. You have to share love with him. And then you keep him out of drugs.
Mr. President, do you feel that current President Enrique Peña is doing a good job of leading Mexico?
He has done three great things, three profound reforms. The energy reform, moving out of a monopoly of government running all energy sources and all energy processes. Today is an open market, huge amount of investment is coming in, private investment, to develop the source. Number two, a profound education reform, moving out of memory teaching and classrooms, as we understand, to teach the teacher and let people develop their own knowledge by themselves. It's the new and most modern way of educating. And finally, a tax reform. So that's great accomplishments on the side of Peña Nieto that we couldn't do myself, or Calderón, or Cedillo, the three former presidents.
Do you feel he's done a good job dealing with President Trump?
Yes, because like in the bullfights, he is giving him the oles, or he's playing the violin. So he lets him speak, he lets him be aggressive, but he's telling Trump we have to sit down and do things better. It's not the stick that will frighten me. It's not your menaces of kicking out our people. No, that doesn't frighten me. What frightens me is a future without our partnership. And I say to American people, watch out. False prophets usually take you to the desert. And when you wake up, you're in problems. That's the story of Latin America. That is why I think we have enough experience in dealing with dictators, with authoritarian leaders, with powerful men that tell you, I'm going to solve everything, I'm going to fix everything. That cannot be done. It's the whole of the U.S., it's the whole of the citizens of this nation, it's the entrepreneurs, it's the innovators, it's the universities of this great nation that have made America great and that will keep making America greater than. A president is here to serve for 4 years, and that's it. I mean, we won't remember Trump 6 years from now. We will not remember him. He's a disruptor, he's a destroyer, but he's being stopped. Now he's calming down. Great that General Kelly is there to put a zipper on his mouth, to make him think before he tweets or before he talks.
Mr. President, you were the leader of Mexico for 6 years, but I'm curious as to whether or not you wish your term had come during the time President Trump was president? Think about that. We'll have you respond right after this break. Quick final question. Do you sort of wish deep down inside that you could have been president when President Trump was president?
Would have been fun. But I can assure you I would stand firm on him. I would speak to him very clearly. You know, I came from business also.
Yes.
And I moved into politics. Just that experience that Trump is going to go through will take him 3 years to understand the difference. In business, yes, you give instructions, and he who disobeys, you fire him. In politics, you cannot do that. You cannot run a nation with executive orders, without the approval of Congress, without the consensus with people, without that 60% majority that is not with him. He has his 35%. Yes, he has it. Very dogmatic, very fanatic after him, but it's only 35%. A leader cannot come into a nation, appropriate the nation for himself, and decide what this nation is going to do and what this nation is going to be all about. That will not happen. This majority, these people that was born free, that has enjoyed freedom, these people that is proud of the nation that they have built, these people that are U.S. citizens, sooner or later we say, Trump, please deliver or get out. And up to now, no delivery. This disruption, this destroying, aggressive attitude comes not to be good for our relationship. We are building something that is going to be great, that is great already. Let's keep on doing it. So please, Senor Trump, calm down, listen to your people, listen to experience, listen to history. That's much better than just shooting a tweet.
Well, you've heard it, a very candid and a very frank former Mexican President Vicente Fox. A special thank you to Dr. Irvin Reed and Wayne State University for helping us get President Vicente Fox on Spotlight. I'm Chuck Stokes. We'll be back next week with more newsmakers in the Spotlight. We hope you have a great week.